Game face on.
All right, we are up and away on
Get your
episode
game face
2.
on, bitch.
Yeah, well, in this case, get your game voice on. Yeah. Gotta get your podcasting voice on. Not the
Yeah,
NPR stuff we talked about last time, but just a regular podcast voice.
I
This
think
is
we
my
could do a
podcast voice.
whole hour on NPR and nothing
Sure.
else.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just do this real quick. This'll okay. So, all right. Now I don't know what the sonics will be like on this if the sound. Can you hear this?
Oh, oh, nice. Yeah, we got a riff, some guitar, live music going. And if that isn't a blast from the past, I don't know what is. It's nice. It's like listening to an old friend. Rock and roll, man.
All right, so that
Nice.
did now, Curran. What's the history of that guitar? Because I'm considering maybe that for our theme song. I would record it
Yeah,
better,
it has to
obviously.
be. Has to
Right?
be our theme song. Has to be. I
Thank
mean,
you,
that song
thank you.
is pretty
Iconic.
iconic for us. Yes,
Yes.
it was. We came up with that song randomly, and then we recorded it because you're really good at recording it. And we did it all in the span of 2 hours, and then we put it on a CD. There we go with CDs again. But forgive us, we were victims of technology of our time. We put it on CDs on a CD, and we drove around Boston just playing that song and smoking some hand roll cigarettes. It's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah, it was
Pretty rock
great.
and roll.
It was very spontaneous the way it was done, and it just like basically we recorded this song called the Curran Mumigati song. Um, that's Karan's name. By the way, when I asked my wife about uh I showed her like a few seconds of the last episode after I edited it, and she was like, "You should call him Karan instead of Curran." And I like put my
Yeah, it's
face in my hands.
fine.
I I mean,
You have
and I
permission from the source. I told you. I mean, you said it. Like,
exactly.
it's
And
fine.
she said, "Well, you should explain in the episode how you came to call him that." So, and I was like, "It's okay, I did." Um, she's a good one. Um, but no, she's total. I mean, she means well.
Ni-
She wants to
nice of her to
respect us.
care. To be honest, yeah,
Yeah,
very
it
nice of
total
her.
right. I mean, it's better
Yes.
than people who call you Karen or
Oh,
who just
100%.
just
I would
idiots.
appreciate even if you make an effort. Like, by the way, if you ever come across anyone with a difficult name, I mean, I shouldn't speak for everybody because there are people who get upset if you mispronounce their name even a little. But me, no. If you make an effort, you're okay in my book. That's all I care about.
I like it. I like it. Um, so I wanted to do a yeah. So that song, the Karan Mumigati song, Karan. The story behind it is, and that's just the riff of it. There's a whole vocal section, but but basically the way it came about was like eat your heart out, Beethoven. But the way it came about was when Karen and I were first getting to know each other over there on Haskell Street. Uh, every time I would come home from school or something, Karen would. Karen and I would do this little dance, and I would say, Karan Momigati. And then we would do this little, Karan Momigati. And we would do a little dance, a jig. And it was like the Karan Momigati greeting song. And because I just started randomly doing that one day, Karan Momigati. It just felt right,
Yeah.
and we just kept doing it. It stuck, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Curran comes to me one day, and he's like, "Hey, I think I came up with a riff to go along with the
The
your
solo part, like I
that
think,
thing, the Kern
yeah,
Momigati that you sing, that melody you sing. And I was like, wow, no one even asked you to do this, and this is great. And he showed me this little, where he would like echo, he would just echo the melody on guitar after I would sing the vocal. I'd be like, Karan Momigati, and he'd be like, "Ning, ning, 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 ning," on the guitar. And
yeah,
it was great. And it just like immediately was great. And one day we were like, we have to record that thing,
yeah,
because
yeah.
even in those days I had started to dabble in home recording, and I had like this I had an interface that you could plug plug direct input into with a guitar. um I didn't yet have an actual, I don't think at the time, well, technically I think I had an amp, but I rarely used it because we lived in an apartment and it was loud, and we didn't want to get noise complaints. And it's so hard to play loud guitar through an
Mm.
amp when you live in an apartment situation without getting complaints from the landlord or the tenants. It's one of the challenges of being an oh, something just went quiet. Curran?
Oh, that was me. Yeah,
Oh,
I wanted to spare the clicking sound because I just had to adjust something on my side. I just
no,
didn't want
that's
there to be
smart.
noise, so I muted my mic. Yeah, sorry.
That's smart. Anyway, so I can tell some editing might go into this one. Try to keep the editing workload as low as I can.
Yeah,
But
you were going in such a good flow. I didn't want to interrupt you, but mission
oh,
failed. I ended up causing a bigger distraction.
that's all right. It's all part of the process. But the this is it's reality. This is real. This is reality. So you'll take it and like it. But basically, uh, um, fucking my train of thought is like a light feather on the wind in a
Yeah,
storm. It just
yeah, it
gets
really is.
derailed so easily.
It's like a
Uh,
hummingbird.
yeah, it's yeah, a frail hummingbird adrift, in a flock of seagulls being jostled and bullied on a on in some migration he's not even supposed to be part. Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah, so I didn't I didn't put a mic in front of an amp and actually do it that way, which does sound better than direct input guitar. Thank you, Shy. And but the we just plugged the guitar directly into the interface and then just went for it. We just went for it. It was very
yep,
we just wanted to do it,
yep,
and we did it. And
yep.
I'll tell you, Karen, it turned out so great, and
It
it
was,
literally took like, I don't know, a couple hours of work. We
yeah,
laid down the
barely,
guitar. Yeah, I played the rhythm guitar, the chung 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 that you guys just heard, that you in your uncle's basement just heard.
yeah.
The our one fan, remember?
Love you,
And
man.
he needs a name. The fan who lives in the
Oh,
uncle's basement needs a
yeah,
name.
I don't know.
That would it be Solomon or
Oh,
Saul?
song maybe. Cool. Well,
Maybe
not a bad name. Yeah,
not a bad
I mean,
name. It's
yeah.
maybe more noble than he deserves, but maybe, maybe that's what's good about it. Anyway, whatever. So it was, what was so cool about the way we did it was it was very spontaneous, and it was driven by just a genuine excitement. And I think, like, Kern and I are both creative folks and do creative stuff. And like, one thing that you can sometimes, if you're in the midst of like a project that you take seriously, any creative, I think, has experienced this one time or another, is you can, if you grip it too hard and there's too much expectation or too much pressure, and
Yeah,
I know, I'll speak for myself, I've experienced this, you can lose the joy at certain moments. And part of
yeah,
the challenge of being a creative is maintaining excitement through the process and genuine, like, excitement for what you're doing. And that's challenging because if you're doing art and you're just kind of jerking around and you don't care whether you finish or not, and it's just a hobby, I mean, that's totally fine, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's no pressure, and it doesn't matter if you finish it or if you don't. It's really just, what do you feel like? But if you want to make some kind of impact with it, or you want it to kind of get out into the world, you want it to be seen or heard by more than like just you and one or two other people, you have to take it seriously enough to try to come up with something that is like up to a certain quality standard. And then the challenge, part of the challenge really becomes keeping the joy alive and keeping the momentum. And there will be moments where you will question that, or you will feel like you're faltering or you're losing perspective. But what was so cool about when we recorded that song, and I always kind of keep this in my back pocket just to remember how effective it can be to actually have a sense of excitement and momentum in the thing you're doing, is that we did it so quickly and it came out so great and everybody loved it. We showed it to all our friends. I remember Curran took the song to work and showed it to he had like a coworker named Laura or Lauren.
Yeah,
Um
yeah, we
yeah,
showed
and
it to a lot of people.
showed it to a lot of people. Everybody loved it. It was hilarious. It was good. It was fun. And it just had energy,
Yeah,
and you can't
that's the
fake
word,
that.
energy.
You can't fake
Yeah,
that. You cannot
yeah.
fake that.
There was
Um
no expectation about it. They really, I mean, that's so right what you said about when you're doing something creative and you don't have an expectation, you don't have any kind of goal set for yourself. Now that sounds contradictory to, when you're like, hey, I want to do creative stuff as a living. Of course, you want to have goals. Of course, you want to have that. But it does take away from the creative process, which is why sometimes you'll
it
find like when
can.
you're trying to do something as like a goal, like as a way to make money, something creative, it can burn you out. But then like you
Yeah.
will have something you do on the side which may be also creative but different. Like for
Yep.
example, you're trying to become a musician, but then
Podcasts.
you draw on the side and you find way more joy in drawing than you do as a musician
Right.
because it burns you out. It does. But
Yeah, and
yeah,
one thing you never hear, it's so true, and one thing you don't hear enough from creatives, because we're only presented with the final product and the outcome, and we're so outcome oriented in our society because it's capitalist and it's all about how are you going to pay the bills? How are you going to generate actual material results from this endeavor you're doing? It's not as process oriented it as it can be and should be. But when you're I lost my train. The
oh yeah, it drives me nuts. It does.
well
It's
well it's
everywhere.
it
You know.
yeah, it is everywhere, and it's glorified to, the grind and the work element of the process is over glorified, at least in America and other countries too, I'm sure, but definitely in America big time, because there's this like glory in pain, somehow, or a struggle, where it's like, yeah, you gotta have the struggle, it's part of the process. If you don't do that, you're not legit, you're not the real thing, you have to struggle. And you know what, the reality is you are gonna struggle some, whether you like it or not. But I think putting the focus on the struggle as this glorified moment is not right. And I think rather than that, you wanna minimize the feeling of struggle as much as you can, without, you don't want to, because you don't want to quit. And if you struggle too much, you will at some point quit, because it'll be miserable. So I think a big part of longevity with an endeavor is literally finding creative ways, sometimes counterintuitive ways, to mix it up or to keep it from getting from stagnating or from becoming miserable, because it can quite literally become miserable. It can become, you can make it, you can get in your own way and allow it to stagnate and become miserable, and you keep telling yourself, I have to grind, I have to push through no matter what, which is true, you do, but it doesn't have to be that hard. It
Yeah.
can be more, there can be more joy. And I just think I remind myself of that. And it's like Rick Rubin has a whole book on it that's gained quite a bit of popularity. I'm in this little book club with a couple people, and like, uh
Oh,
we read
nice.
that book. Yeah, we read
Book
that. Well, it's
clubs.
like it's a virtual meetup book club, and we meet like once every month or two. um but the last book was the Rick Rubin one, which is called, for anyone interested, it's called, let me get the official title. Clickety clickety click. Hold on.
Mhm. Yeah, it's good to know
It's
about that.
called the creative act. It's
Hmm.
called the creative act, a way of being. And it's coming, Rick Rubin, he's worked on creative projects thousands of times with
He's
many
worked with a
different
lot of
people.
creatives too. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
creatives.
and big successful ones. And
Oh
you'd be
yeah.
amazed how many of these big successful creatives who are rich and famous, in some cases even, you might say, even iconic, and uh they all struggle with the same shit. They all struggle with the same things. They come up against the same obstacles of, oh God, I have anxiety. I don't know how I'm going to solve this one creative problem that's in front of me. What if I don't solve it? What if this? What if that? What am I going to, is it ever going to be solved? What if I don't solve? What if nobody likes it? What if I'm the only one who likes it? What if other people don't like? All those things that plague the creative mind are addressed in this book, the
Right.
creative
Right.
act. And Rick Rubin has these creative workarounds for those problems that honestly feel really like lived in and real, and come from his
Hmm.
experience working with creatives, where he'll have people come up against creative brick walls that they
Mm-hmm.
hit, or come up against moments in their lives when they want to quit being a, a musician. They don't want to do it anymore. They're stressed out by it. They're at a moment where, even though they're so fucking talented and so rich, but they reach these moments where they're like, I'm not feeling the joy anymore in this.
Hmm.
I'm feeling disconnected with the whole reason that I started doing it in the first place.
Right. Right.
I don't
That's
know
interesting.
why I'm doing it anymore. I don't want to do it. And a lot of people would hear that and say, no, no, come on, don't be ridiculous. That's impossible. If
Yeah.
they're actually talented, that could never happen to them.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, no, no. You are saying that if you've never tried to do something creative for the long term.
Right. Yeah.
No one, it's like, and maybe nobody would say that, but in my head, I project that some people would.
Yeah, I
But
can see some people thinking that
yeah,
they would definitely see, hear about like maybe somebody famous who's having trouble, and they would think, why are you so concerned? You're obviously talented,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
obviously successful, but
sure,
it happens like, and I mean it's worse when you're just getting started when nobody knows you because, like there's
it is.
definitely a crowd effect to being successful creatively. Like if a crowd of people agree that you're creative, then it's more likely than that more people will pay attention to you because you're validated in some way. So, but when you're
Yeah,
getting started, it's hard to do that. So, there's even more pressure on you when you're getting started. And the one thing about doing something creative that's different than doing like an entry level job is that an entry level job, you're getting paid for what you do, right from the get go, and you constantly get feedback from people who have been in your position and who you're working with. When you're doing something creative, writing a book, painting, doing an album, whatever it might be, um, you don't get paid to do that. You don't get any validation until your stuff is out there. Um, and so you kind of have to be your own cheerleader for the longest time. So,
that's true.
that,
And
yeah,
here's a really tough reality of it. You do have to be your own cheerleader and find ways to remain effectively being that for yourself. Why? Because yes, if you surround yourself with positive people and you distance yourself from toxic ones, which all of us should do, creative or not,
true.
um, even if you do, you will have moments in life, chapters in life, when even the people who are closest to you, some of them, might not be like fully supportive, or might not
Yeah,
like totally understand what you're trying to do, and might not
right,
see the vision that you're able to see.
right.
And that doesn't mean that you quit, but it's tough, and you have like to keep things in perspective. And I mean, the first thing in that instance, I think you have to realize, you have to put your ego aside a little,
Yeah,
and you have to say, listen, I love this person because they're a great person, they love me, they're good to me. um yeah, would it be amazing if on top of that, at every moment of my life, they just think I'm this rock star who has just limitless talent and potential, yeah, that would be that'll be cool. And you know what? That time will come, but there will be moments, especially when they're first, getting to know you. Like you can't expect that from people. It's a really egotistical thing to expect. And like,
Yes.
yeah, someone who's the closest person in the world to you, yes, at some point you're going to need them to be supportive. But there could be moments when they're not, or there could be moments when in your eyes they fall short, or
Yep.
they don't see what the vision that you see, but that's okay. You can just show it
Yeah.
to them by doing it. And
Yeah.
you just have to, it's not even about confidence. It's not about faking confidence. You can't fake confidence. There's so much in our culture today is about, you just have to be confident. You just have to be confident. And it's like, yeah, but tell me how to do that. Like,
Yeah.
because you can tell me to be confident, or you can tell me you just have to fly. But what if I don't have wings? What if I'm not, what if I don't feel confident in what I'm doing yet, but I don't want to quit though? And it's like, what about, so it's like, okay, so you build the confidence, and you treat building the confidence as part of the process, as part of what you're doing. Um, but and you take it one step at a time and you build it, it, rather than just faking it with like a fake arrogant. That's like what arrogance is to me, is like fake confidence. It's like a front of confidence where there's nothing to back it up. And it's like, well, hey, if you don't feel like you have enough to back it up, you don't have to fake it, but
Yeah.
just, and I've definitely been there, but you just have to treat it as part of the project, part of the process of building. You're building your confidence, and and you kind of take it one step. But anyway, so it's all goes back to, it's a process oriented, as they say, it's a process oriented mindset instead of outcome oriented. But it may be at this point a cliche thing to say, but it's nonetheless, it's so true. And in that Rick Rubin book, I think he's got, for example, he'll give these creative workarounds. Like, for example, when you're an artist and you reach that point where you feel like your nose is up against a brick wall, you can't move forward, you don't know what to do. He's like, you got to take a little of the pressure off, and you got to take a little of the hyper focus off of that one obstacle you're trying to get past. And one way to do that is, in those moments, don't overthink it, just pivot to a different aspect of the process, or pivot
Yeah.
to a different song you're working on instead of this song, or pivot to if you're a writer, a different story,
Right. Right.
or a different chapter, whatever. Because, and he talks about how if you're working on a song, let's say you can't come up with the chorus, or let's say you can't come up with that one bridge,
Yeah.
well, rather than banging your head against the wall for endlessly because you can't get it, and beating yourself up and driving this negativity in, instead, just step back from, and work on a different part. Because there's this magic effect, and this is so true what he says. Again, he speaks from experience, but I'm a musician, I write songs and stuff, and there's this magic thing that can happen where, if you have, let's say, 70% or even 60% of the song actually laid down, recorded. Let's say you leave the parts blank that you haven't figured out, or you just kind of, put some filler in there or something, but get the parts you have figured out, put those down.
Yeah.
And then there's a psychological effect where this pressure is lifted, and there's a greater optimism and sense of hope and accomplishment that floods into you, because suddenly the project you see in front of you or hear in front of you is it's mostly there, and you can see it, and it's there. It's not just floating in your head. You've nailed it down, and now you have you have the positive, a more positive mindset, and you have this added motivation that's genuine motivation, again, not faked or forced motivation, but genuine motivation, and this energy to to keep working on it. And all you had to do to get there was to step back from that thing that was driving you nuts.
Right.
And that's, honestly, that's a counterintuitive in our capitalist
Yep.
culture. That's a
Yep.
counterintuitive approach,
Yeah.
to the classic just grit your teeth and grind your way through
Yeah. Attack the problem
mentality.
till it's done. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. True.
And I wish I had figured that out earlier, but I guess I'm sure I'm not. we all do. But
the funny thing
yeah,
about that is like I'm sure anybody who's creative has experienced that at some point. Like they have, um, they've people just would randomly say it all the time. Not even creative, just in their day to day stuff. They'd be like, I just stepped away for a second and then I came back and it just came to me. The answer came to me,
yeah,
or but the thing is you think about that for a second and then you let it go. But then when someone like Rick Rubin puts it down in a book and you read it, it kind of hits home because you're just like, right, that's kind of like interesting because I have experienced that. But here's someone who's extremely successful at you know creating and handling creative people, and him saying this makes a lot of sense to me. Um, it's something that you might have just come up with yourself, but you never realized the significance of it because you were just like, oh yeah, okay, it might work once, but may not work again. But I think it's a good one to keep in your pocket. Like if there's something that just is just bearing you down, step away from it. Come back to it a little bit later. It might seem like a whole new problem. Once you come back, and you'll probably find a solution to it.
that's right. That's exactly right. And there's a movie, Enter the Dragon, with Bruce Lee,
I
and
love Bruce
and
Lee.
yeah, I just saw it for the first time recently. It was the first Bruce Lee movie I'd ever seen, believe it or not, as an adult. And because my wife showed it to me.
No way. So
She's
she's
an
she showed you
yeah,
a Bruce Lee
Zashi
movie.
showed
Cool.
me. She's an aficionado of action films in a
Yeah.
way that I'm not. So, but I find that I've actually really enjoyed some of them she's shown me. But I watched Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, and
Nice.
in that movie, I think that's the name of the movie. I'm 99%
Oh
sure,
yeah,
but
definitely. It's definitely a movie by him. I'm not sure if that's the movie you watched.
let
But
me
yeah.
double check real quick. People get real anal about stuff like this.
I mean, I think that was the movie that made him really, really popular, Enter the Dragon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Was it the one where he goes to Italy
it
and
has a
fights
black
Chuck
guy in it.
Norris?
There's a
Was
black
that?
guy in it. There's a
Oh
black guy in
no.
it. He's a
Yeah.
fighter.
Oh,
He's a really good fighter. He's got an afro.
is he really tall? That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I think.
He looks
Uh,
tall to me.
yeah, you would know. You
Looks
would know
tall
when
on my 2 foot screen.
does, does his image fit on your screen, or do you have to scroll down to see him?
He's a lot taller than that 3.5 foot tall Asian guy who said it's my birthday, motherfucker.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Uh,
that guy. Oh my
but
god,
he's
yeah.
no, yeah,
He
he's
would be a
tall.
hobbit compared to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. That
Oh
guy.
God,
Yeah.
yeah. From the sound of it, maybe all of us, maybe a few of us would be.
No, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, as far as I know, I hope I'm not butchering the name, was like a student of Bruce Lee, um, and I forget the I don't think it was Enter the Dragon that uh,
I
has him in
figured
it.
Jim
I,
Kelly. His name is Jim Kelly. He's in
oh,
Enter the Dragon. And
okay, I'm
he's
mixing up my movie. Sorry, everyone.
that's okay. Apparently, Bruce Lee has multiple black proteges, which is amazing.
Yeah,
Multiple black men as proteges, and the proteges. Am I saying that right? Protege, protege,
yeah,
probably
Prodigy. That's right.
protege. And this is one of them. This guy, I guess, apparently his name is Jim Kelly. Um, Good looking black dude. Tall, yeah, he looks huge. He looks tall. But he's like, and he's freaking ripped. But he was a great fighter, or appeared to be in the movie. I'm no expert, but anyway, so yeah, in the movie Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee says this line. He says, "I practice the art of fighting without fighting."
Hmm.
And that's a really great thing to sink in because it ties directly into what we were just talking about, which is don't look for the struggle. Like, don't look for ways to struggle. Look for ways to make it lighter.
Right.
Look for
Yeah.
ways to fight without fighting so much. And honestly, if I were to sum up Rick Rubin's book in a phrase, in a sentence, that would be it.
Hmm.
It's really all about fighting without fighting. Um, Removing the struggle rather than adding it,
Yeah.
and
Interesting.
that you can still arrive at an even better place when you do get out of your own way. rather
That
than
is
fighting
that
harder.
is very zen. That is very zen.
It's
That
very
could,
zen, but it's
yeah.
very true too. But um, the Karan Momigati song, just to tie it back to the Karan Momigati
Yeah,
song, that was a great example of, because like with some of my songs that I've taken more seriously and put more pressure on, there were definitely periods where there were burnout moments or stagnation moments where I was like, I don't know how to get this finished. I don't know how to, and I wasn't able to treat it as lightly as when we did that Kern Momigati song. But there was this amazing lesson in that song that I feel like has taken me a half a lifetime to internalize and fully understand. And I guess I'm still trying to fully understand it, but it's the lesson of fighting without fighting. It's the lesson of, when we made that song, we were getting we were not
yeah.
in our own way at all. We were not
No,
tripping up on our own shoes at all. We were
no.
just flowing in the joy and we were so present.
Yeah,
Another popular thing people will say, but again, true, it's true. I don't care if it's cliche, it is true
yeah,
that when you're really present and you're not worrying about the outcome, and you're not worrying about what other people will think, or what will it make money or will it not, or when you're just not concerned with that and you're just following your excitement, where it's pointing you. This is exactly what we did when we recorded that song. We didn't even question it. We had no reason to, but we didn't question it. And it turned out great, and it had genuine energy in it. And you just can't fake that. So
yeah,
that was just even though it was, it was not a career determining moment. It was not a moment that changed our financial lives in any way at all, but an important moment nonetheless that I've always kind of taken with me. So I have like
yeah,
really positive associations with that song.
yeah,
I look back on it, and I still have the original song. I listened to it before we did this episode today, and it's a lot of fun. Definitely sounds a little like a little low. It sounds way more lo-fi than what I would record if I recorded it today. But it has all the energy and the spunk, and it's just as fun as it ever was. But uh, I cherish that. That was a great memory. That was really cool.
yeah.
Um,
That was basically like, hey, let's just have fun with this kind of thing,
yeah,
and yeah, those things have a lot of joy in them because there is no expectation that you attach to it. You're just all the expectation is just like I just want to have fun with this thing, and
yeah,
sometimes that can be the most liberating thing you can do for your creative appetite because you're just free to be creative. There's no other voice in your head that says, can I monetize this? Will people like this? Is this hitting my target audience? All these questions that you have to ask yourself if you're doing something creative for financial benefit. You don't ask
yeah,
yourself when you're doing it for joy because you're just like, all I want to do with this is have fun with it. And
yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so then the trick is to approach it that same way, even if you are doing it for financial benefit or as one of the
yeah.
reasons. And that's
That's
the
the
trick.
trick.
That's the
That's the
trick that
trick. It's
maybe
hard,
about
but
one
yeah,
in 1,000 people can do. But you got to be that one, and you got to be that one in 100 or one in whatever. Pull that statistic out of my ass, but you got to be you got to embody that, because
yeah,
if you can't embody that, I don't care how talented you are, you may not make it.
yeah,
And that's something that, by the way, in high school they don't teach you, is and even the teachers fail at this, but there's this huge emphasis on potential and talent when you're in high
yeah,
school, and there's not as much discussion about the how you really do it, and how you meet that potential or make that potential a reality. There's an excessive amount of praise in high school of students who show potential,
mhm,
but not enough discussion about the fact that talent is only half the battle, and that there's this whole other half which if you listen to, talk to somebody like Joe Rogan, he'll probably tell you the other half is 100% grit and struggle and pushing.
Right.
But well, maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. I'm speaking for him, but like that's the vibe that he gives off for me. But
Yeah.
which there's a place for that too. But like that other half is not 100% push and struggle and fight. That other half and grit and drive. Those things are great, important. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Obsession is important. I get it. Um, but there's another element in that other half. So if half of it is talent, then I'm going to say 25% is is drive, or maybe 20%. But then the other 25% is like knowing how to manage your mind and knowing how to stay the uh finding, like we've just been talking about, finding ways to stay the course
Yep.
and not allowing the process to descend into misery. Because the moment that once that happens, I don't care how driven you are, if you can never find another way to do it that's more joyful, at some point you will break, you will burn out to such an extent where I'm talking like tears, suicidal thoughts, all that shit. Um if you've been doing it long enough and it's still not working, yeah, you'll get there. And
Yeah.
anybody out there listening, if you've experienced that, you know what I'm talking about. But it's you can avoid, you can temper that, and you can lighten the load mentally, find it and get your mind straight, and your emotions, and the mind and emotions are cousins, close cousins. You get those straight, you need that longevity, that and you need to relax your ego. And if you can never do that, it's real tough. There's probably a few people who still make it on those terms, who get very lucky, very young, but not most people. So anyways, but we've gone on,
Yeah.
I guess, long enough about that. But what was I gonna oh yeah, but yeah, in high school it's just a lot of those teachers. The thing in high school teachers, they're great people, but they don't, like, most of them, they became teachers or they got a normal job. Like, they didn't necessarily spend a decade pursuing some crazy dream. And I'm sure some of them did, by the way. I mean, maybe even many of them, but they didn't. They like, at the end of the day, I think most high school teachers don't have the real life experience in pursuing those things that they're teaching about as a profession in a serious way, and for a long period, to offer as much wisdom to young kids as I wish they could, as to how to have that longevity, and how and that talent is only half the battle. I don't know if most high school teachers have the capacity to lay it out in those terms. Anyway, um but I was going to say, I wanted to talk, or actually, how do I we're figuring this out. But uh so I had a few technical notes on how to, like, the way Curran and I are doing it is we decided to take turns on editing these podcast episodes. And so we're going to switch off, but I just wanted to share a couple of my experiences editing the last one. Uh yeah, basically, um first thing was that I noticed was my voice was all over the place when I went to edit it. My voice was loud, then quiet. I mean, it was all over, and I gave no thought to it whatsoever when I was doing it. But then when I went to edit it, I was like, "Oh my god!" And I had to rein in the volume. So a huge part of the process was smoothing out the volume of my voice, because it was all over the map. It was like it was like trying to tame a rogue ostrich, or trying to domesticate a Bengal tiger to a point it's tame enough my kid can ride it. And anyway, I have to learn to keep my head in the same place when I'm talking, it'll make editing much easier, which I'm trying to do on this episode. Live and learn.
Yeah.
Curran's voice was super easy. Your voice, Curran, was super easy to edit because you kept your volume pretty much in the same place the whole time, which was nice. Then there was a lot of there were a lot of clicking sounds on yours, and then
Hmm.
I guess from computer
Yeah,
clicking, there's
that's
definitely less of
irritating.
that so far on this one.
Yeah, I'm not
But
clicking around as much.
you're not clicking around as much, which is nice, and it'll make it easier and when you're editing it. And then there was this thing that was happening with in your vocal track when I isolated it, where I could hear mine echoing in it.
Hmm.
Like everything I said would echo, it would bleed through basically to yours. I have no
Yeah.
way of knowing right now whether that's currently happening, but just something to be aware of. I didn't hear your voice bleeding into mine at all, but mine was definitely bleeding into yours, and you could hear this weird echo in the distance after every word I said. So I went through your vocal track and basically cut out as much of the blank sections where you weren't saying anything as I could, just to avoid that echo. But I don't know if
Okay.
that's gonna happen with this one or not. But
Yeah. I mean, I have an idea about why that might have happened. It's got something to do with maybe like my mic picking up some of your audio as it comes through. Maybe because the
yeah.
gain on my mic was a little high. My voice was louder last time, so I had louder gain. But doesn't matter. We can always fix that later when it comes to
Oh
editing.
yeah, yeah. Maybe because the gain was louder. It could be that. But hopefully won't be the issue this time around. And then the set. So yeah, so cleaning up the track with that, and then just kind of balancing our voices so that they were roughly the same volume, which was not that hard. And then I did this real simple EQ cut on both of
Hmm.
our voices. I did the same one on both of our voices. It was really easy where I did a low cut or high pass, whichever way you want to call it.
Hmm.
Where I cut out some of the low end because it was kind of boomy. That's a pretty typical and really quick and easy EQ cut that just makes it so that when you're listening to it in the car or on speakers or whatever, it's not just booming really loud. I am closer to the mic than this episode than I was in the last one.
Hmm.
So I definitely think you'll want to cut out some of the bass in my voice this time. But again, very easy to do. And you said you have some editing software, which I'm sure can do it.
Yeah,
I'm assuming
I
can
know.
do it.
I have. Yeah, I mean, most editing softwares can do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Yeah.
I should be able to do it.
Yeah. And then the last thing and then I added a little compression to it. Compression basically makes the loud parts come down a little and the really quiet parts come up. So if there's like a moment where somebody's like, "Yeah, yeah, how you doing?" And then, "Ah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,"
yeah, yeah,
quiet and loud. Compression just smooths it out. It just makes it sound smoother and more professional, honestly, and just makes it an easier, smoother, nicer listening experience for listeners. And all I did for the compression was like, there's usually, if you go to the compression section of your editing software, there's usually a drop down menu with presets, and you can just find like the dialogue compression preset and
yeah,
just click it onto the voice, and it'll just apply it. And it's like a subtle amount of compression, but it really smooths it out and is a nice, subtle upgrade to the sound.
yeah,
And then the very last thing I did was making sure that the overall volume of the episode, talking about our first episode we just did, so the last episode, um talking to you, Solomon. The that last thing I did was make sure the overall volume was loud enough to be consistent with what people are used to hearing on Spotify and YouTube and stuff.
okay,
um because if you leave it and it's too quiet, then it'll just be too quiet. This is my understanding. And people are reaching for the volume knob in their car, like, oh my god, it's so quiet, and just turning it up and up and up. And if they switch to a different podcast and come back to it, the other podcast was way louder, and now they have to turn it it's just like annoying basically if it's too quiet. Um, uh, but if you make it too loud, uh, louder than a certain industry standard threshold, when you upload it to YouTube or Spotify, that the algorithm of that software will like automatically lower its volume, but it'll do it in a way that I think kind of compresses or degrades it
Yep.
and makes it sound less good. So, and Kern, you might already know all this, but this is for anybody listening. But because I didn't know this until recently, but there's this thing called LUFS, and it stands for hold on one second. Oh yeah, loudness units relative to full scale, I think.
Hmm.
LUFs. And
That is it.
what it means is basically if you have software that can give you a measure on, it's the overall volume of your thing.
Okay.
And it's called integrated volume, and it's like you let the meter run as it listens to it, and it listens to it for a couple minutes, and it gauges the level it's coming in at, like on average kind of. And that's like
Okay.
your and it, in order to not have YouTube or Spotify messing with the volume of your thing to lower it or whatever, you want to set it to the right LUF's level, which is about negative 16 dB, negative 14 to negative 16 dB. Um, you kind of want your thing to be, you want your integrated or overall volume level or LUFs to be about like negative 16 dB on the meter. And not all software has a meter to measure this. But DaVinci Resolve you can download for free, which is what I did. I already had it actually, but it's a video editing software that's really good actually, especially considering it is free. There's a paid version, but there's a free version too. And you can download DaVinci Resolve, and it does have a meter in its audio suite, in its audio
Hmm.
section, that will show you whether it's at YouTube standard of volume or whether it's coming in, whether it's at the right level of LUFs. And there's countless YouTube tutorials on how to do it that you can easily find too. But so that was the last step I did, was make sure it was kind of coming up to somewhere between negative 16 to negative 21 dB. That's where it was kind of peaking on average. And that made it like loud enough so that when I listened to it in the car, I didn't feel like it was really quiet and I had to just crank the volume up just to hear our voices. Anyway, so
Nice.
that it's a bunch of technical stuff, but yeah, yeah, maybe useful to anybody making a podcast or whatever you're doing. But it's kind of fascinating too. I mean, I don't know, I think, but yeah, so just wanted to share that that was like my experience editing it, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's there's so many ways to approach editing a podcast. If you can do it the way, and it all comes down to how good you are at using these tools that are out there. Back
Yeah.
in the day, you would need to go to somebody to do it all. You would hire somebody to do it for you. But nowadays, you can do it a lot of it yourself, either through tutorials or you can, which is what a lot of people are doing, is you can just go and use something AI related. But the thing about AI is it's not quite um, intuitive enough to make all the subtle changes that you would like to do, that an editor would give you, or something that you could do by yourself by just you know figuring out one of these tools. So yeah, it's but definitely I think there people have access to a lot more tools now than they ever have before, and it's definitely making things interesting in the creative space, in the especially in the just in the creation space, because people are able to do so much of stuff, um, so much more than they ever could before, in lesser time.
It's so
So
true. It's so true. And by the way, for anybody who's listening to this thinking, "Wow, that's so boring. I don't care about that technical stuff." That's perfectly fine. Go ahead, skip all of this go to the next episode. That's fine. You know, that's what I would do if I were you. If it didn't apply to me, just skip it. You know, whatever. I do that all the time. That's the beauty of podcasts. It's just this long, unlimited chain of babble and chatter. And if at any point you just want to skip stuff, just do it. It's not a movie. It's not a song. You don't have to be like, this verse is boring, skip ahead to the chorus. No, you kind of need to hear the verse to build up to it. Podcasts aren't that way. It's
Oh,
just a
like
bunch of
catch up if I
chatter.
don't listen to episode 2. That's
Yeah,
you
how
don't
will
need
I
to.
follow? Yeah, how will I follow
The
this?
cryptic narrative, the
Yeah,
very important.
how will I follow the winding plot of these two chowderheads talking if I miss a single episode? No, it doesn't matter. Just skip it. But
Yeah,
hopefully it helps. And if not, that's
yeah.
great. Yeah, I wanted to open the floor to you, Kern, because I just did a lot of babbling about how I edited that first episode and my experience with that. But I just want to open the floor to you. Anything that you want to bring up or anything you want to bring to the table, uh, go ahead and do it. Now's your shot.
No, I mean, I can't believe it's almost been an hour, and we, like, yeah.
I
I
know.
mean, you the came out with a banger with the Karan Momigati Matt Mashburn song that we came up with. Yeah, that was so much fun. That's a great story. Yeah, I pitched that story to Milos Forman, the director of Amadeus, but yeah,
Oh, great movie.
I mean, I pitched it to his agent, and his agent pretty much told me never to call him back again. So,
Oh my God, I love Amadeus. Is a great movie. Yeah.
Amadeus is a great movie. It is a really good movie.
You know, I just love. I mean, yeah. Again, tying it back to the creative stuff, but like talking about tortured
I know.
creative
Yeah, I
Amadeus.
know.
But it's you know, I'll tell you this. I fucking hate the director's cut of Amadeus, and
The
it's so
director's cut.
annoying. Yeah,
Why?
yeah. You know how some movies, especially classic movies, they'll have the director's cut, like Apocalypse
Hmm.
Now,
Yes.
Redux, where they like come out with it's probably a cash grab or something, I don't know, or no, it could just be the director's like, hey, I'm powerful enough at this point, I can do what I
Yeah.
want, and I want people to see the way I wanted the movie to be seen.
It's also for
And it's
cinephiles to talk about it. Have you seen the
yeah,
director's cut of it? No, I haven't. I haven't seen
yeah,
the director's cut. Can we just
yeah,
talk about it?
yeah, that's very
But
true.
I mean, yeah, if you love something, why not? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I don't usually
Anyway,
like it. I don't usually like the director's cuts. Is the main thing is for that I want to say is that I don't like the director's cut of Amadeus. I don't like the director's cut of Apocalypse Now. It's
yeah.
like there's a reason. As it turns out, there was a reason that some of those scenes got cut. And the annoying thing about Amadeus, especially, it's actually at least on the streaming platforms I have access to, it's really difficult to find the original version as the theater release,
Mm,
and
mm,
that's the one I like. And I went to show it to my wife, to Zashi. I was like, you have to, because she had never seen Amadeus. And I was like, oh my God,
mm.
you've never seen it? It's so good.
Not enough action for Zashi, I
Yeah.
guess.
Uh, yeah, maybe not
Oof.
enough. No Jean
Yeah.
Claude Van Damme in that one.
No.
No, I'm just
If
kidding.
yeah,
She
should have.
likes all kinds of movies. She's seen so many movies, more
I
than
know.
me.
I'm
More than
just kidding,
me.
Zashi.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw my chance
We're
and I took it.
just kidding.
If don't
Yeah,
don't be mad.
don't kill us. No,
Don't kill me.
no.
Oh, well,
Yeah, yeah.
but you know what? If
But
Sylvester Stallone had come in
then
the
it would
Don
have.
Giovanni scene, then
She definitely would have seen it.
should have seen it. Sorry,
Yeah,
that's my last shot, Zashi. That's my
yeah.
last shot.
But so I went and I showed her Amadeus, and uh I wanted to show her the original like theatrical release, but I could not just get it. And the only one that I could get access to was the director's cut, and
Mhm.
I hadn't seen the director's cut, so I thought, well, how different could it really be than the
Right.
original? So I showed it to her, and there were certain scenes added in, like this one scene where Amadeus's wife like goes to beg Salieri for mercy or help for Mozart, for her husband Amadeus, and just and it didn't add shit to the movie from my perspective. It didn't help me like the movie more. It didn't make it better, and it just cluttered it. It made it longer. It kind of took away some of the impact of the great scenes when they come. It's like once you add scenes, the whole context changes, the whole feel of the flow changes. It's like if you had a song and you add this extra verse, it's like suddenly when the chorus hits, it doesn't hit as hard or something. And it just felt like that. The whole movie felt diminished by those extra scenes that I just were freaking didn't need them. And it kind of, I don't know, it kind of like, yeah, it was like
kind of
yeah,
weighted
it sucked.
down in a way. I
It
mean, I
weighted down,
guess
and it sucked
yeah.
because then after she's kind of like, yeah, it was really good, and it's like, no, it's fucking amazing, but it's not as good because you just watched the director's cut. Great,
Yeah.
okay, it sucks. Yeah, bummer,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, onward and forward. Um, but yeah. Anything you wanted to bring up or any topics, Curran,
Uh,
or
well,
anything at all?
there's always stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
in
How are we
my,
doing on time? Are we running out or?
yeah, that's we kind of are.
Okay.
We're reaching about an hour at this point, so
Okay.
yeah. So
Well,
like,
well,
I will.
one thing I'll sneak in just as a nice closer to kind of put us all in the right mood is I had a realization about serial killers, and I
Oof,
want to share it,
can't wait to hear
which
this.
is that there's a certain kind of young woman, a psychologically questionable young woman that you'll sometimes see praising the handsomeness of certain serial killers like Ted Bundy or Jeffrey
Right.
Dahmer, and you'll see it in a blog or on social media or whatever. And these girls will be like,
Wow.
you know, and some of them will even kind of try to defend them a little, or kind of be like, because they're like swooning over these psychotic evil men.
Yeah.
Uh, Obviously not not most women, but like it's like I guess objectively you can. Um, but then this is what I realized because I would like be like, is Ted Bundy? Is he actually that good looking, or is Jeffrey Dahmer actually? And they're like not objectively removing the evil things they did. I guess objectively they're not bad looking guys. But what I realized is that there's an excessive amount of praise for their looks by these crazy people, and the reason for it is not that they are actually that good looking. It's because they are good looking for a serial killer.
Oh,
It would
okay.
be like being, you're the you're the fastest in the special. No, that's not a bad example. You're the
Amongst
it
the all the other depraved looking people,
yeah, they're
depraved serial killers,
right.
you're relatively good.
They're better looking than most of the sample population of their particular ilk. But outside of that context, they're decent looking men, but but definitely not a supermodel, and not
Right.
something
Yeah.
you write home about.
No. But if
And
there was a beauty pageant for serial killers where Ted Bundy went up against John Wayne Gacy, for sure Ted Bundy would win.
yeah.
Um, and I
So,
don't know who would judge that serial killer beauty pageant. I know I want nothing to do with it, but
oh my God, John Wayne Gacy would definitely lose to Ted Bundy. John Wayne Gacy is a hideous, scary motherfucker. I'm so
yeah.
scared of John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, he
He's
is.
so
Oof.
creepy. I mean,
Yeah,
not that Ted Bundy's not also
right.
creepy
I was
and
gonna say
horrible, terrifying, but he's at least
there's a
he's
lot of
not hideous.
nightmares there. Yeah,
But so if you want people to say you're better looking than you are, you need to become a serial killer.
yeah,
Uh, but don't do that. No one,
yeah.
please, Solomon, don't. No one out there, don't
No,
do that. But
please.
I'm just saying though that I feel less jealous of these men's looks, knowing that if I were a serial killer, I think I could be a big deal. No, I'm just kidding. If I were a serial killer, I could get more credit than I deserve for my looks, which is nice to know. It's
So you
just
always have
put
that
that, yeah.
option.
I always
I
have
mean,
that.
there's a price to pay, a pretty big price to pay
Yeah,
for
for
going down
everyone,
that road for everyone. Yeah,
all your
um,
victims, and
horrible.
you, and your
Oh my
family.
god. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Anyway,
yes.
but yeah, but if the okay, I guess we have to end it on a happier note. What
Is
can I
that
say? That's a shitty note to end it on.
this is a public service announcement.
Okay.
Don't
Well,
do
all
those
right. How
things.
about this? Here's a happy ending. This picks up from the last episode. Let's each share one memory about Haskell Street that um is a really nice memory, that is just a great memory that we hold dear. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to
From
go first?
Haskell Street. Oh
Just a
my god.
nice memory from when we lived on Haskell Street in that house, when we each
Hmm.
had our own room on the first floor of that house on Haskell Street. What's an event that you hold dear, or that was just like a good memory?
Won't say like a I would say like a one particular memory, but there was just like this ongoing feeling. One thing I've noticed about living in, because we both live on the West Coast now, but one thing I always noticed about living on the East Coast, which I always loved about the East Coast, was when summer came, everybody was all about it. Like I loved that. It was so nice because everybody was just like, let's do stuff, let's go do things, let's enjoy the weather because we know it's not going to last, and it was great. And summers in Boston and on Haskell Street were great because you'd go out, have a really good time, go to the beach, go, um, like go out to bars, and you'd come home, and it would be nice on those warm summer nights. Like the sun would go down at like 9 p.m., which I still love, by the way, uh, about summer. And then after that, you would sit in the backyard, have a nice beer. Just it wasn't the greatest like backyard, but it had pretty much um, an unobstructed view of the sky, which made it always fun to sit out there and end your night out there. So that's something about Haskell Street I always liked, was ending my nights in the backyard with just like a nice, pale ale, looking up at the stars, just thinking, listening to music. That was always fun.
Nice temperature outside. That's a great memory. I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I would share that one time Curran and I were listening to uh Country Roads by John Denver when we were drunk, out next to this highway. I don't remember
Yeah.
how we got there. I think it was within
It
walking
was.
distance of Haskell Street where we lived.
Yeah.
But
We were drinking some
we were
horrible
drinking.
whiskey. This is
Yep,
like when we
always
were
did.
pretty broke, so we couldn't afford the good stuff. This was like, I
Oh
don't
my
know,
god.
Old Crow whiskey, like bottom of the barrel
Old
whiskey.
Crow,
It was,
old mud.
yeah, we
old,
found, yeah,
old plunger. Yeah, whatever it was, yeah, it was. I mean, it might have been Jim Beam, because you could get a pretty
the
big
Jim
container of
Beam.
that stuff
I
pretty
think pretty
cheap.
sure was old. Jim Beam was like, you know, prime Scotch whiskey compared to this thing.
Oh,
This thing was like a
must have been
beast.
rubbing
Old Crow.
alcohol.
I think they
Freaking
just
mouthwash.
colored Listerine and yeah,
Yeah.
passed it off as whiskey.
Damn. All
Because
right, I shot way high.
oof, no, yeah, it was bad, man. I even remember
Okay.
the bottle. Like it was like this tiny looking bottle. It had a like a cover. The label looked like a page from an old book, and there was a picture of a crow on it. I think that was my last memory of that night because the old crow pretty much obliterated everything else after that, except for what you're about to say with the John Denver song. Yeah, that part
Yeah.
remained.
Yeah. I feel like people who do marketing for whiskey brands just like read old books all day and look at look at pictures from like news articles from like 1873. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
I mean,
all
that's
their
the image that comes with whiskey. Like when it comes to whiskey,
yeah,
you're like it's rugged. Yeah, and it brings
yeah,
with all the rugged things that exist in the world.
yeah. You
Um,
want to
I,
feel like the whiskey you're drinking is at least like 70 years old, and
yes,
you can just taste the essence of time just woven into the flavor. Um, even though that I'm sure it couldn't be further from the truth, especially for what we were drinking, the Listerine whiskey. the,
Listerine whiskey,
the Lister whiskey.
Listerski. It'll
Listerski.
it'll put a skip in your step. It'll burn your brain cells.
In 1917, John Listerski began a legacy that would last 1,000 years.
You have to. You every whiskey needs a mascot. You need a guy who's like John Listerski came to America with a promise in his
With a
heart,
dream.
with a dream in his heart.
A simple dream, but a big
I'm
one.
gonna make sure people don't remember what they did last night.
You ever watch you ever watch Drunk History?
No,
Oh,
I've
it's
seen
so
it.
good.
I always like
It's so good,
wondered
dude.
about it. Yeah, I gotta. I guess I gotta watch that. I've seen that, and I was
Oh
like,
my
"What is
god.
that? That sounds pretty interesting."
It's so good. Just the concept of it is so great, and I'm so glad the guy who invented it just went with that. It just this the concept is so simple. It's like people tell historical stories from history in great detail and at length while they're drunk. And and then and then taking that and adding live action imagery to it with actors. Oh god. And it's and acting out what that drunk person's saying. I love it. It's so
Nice.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
But so yeah, but we were my memory that I one memory I cherish from Haskell Street is Curran and I were out drinking Listerski and out by the highway, uh, and we were listening to Country Roads by John Denver, and that song was really hitting deep in that moment
Yeah,
for both of us, I think. And we were just like we were probably thinking about home too, and it
yeah,
because that song is so good at evoking images of home and a feeling amongst all of us on earth that's universal, that we yearn for whatever home means to each of us, sometimes. And that song just evokes that. It just brings it so good at bringing that out of you and just like illuminating that. And so we're out by this highway. The highway was really loud, but I didn't feel like I was next to a highway because, for one thing, we were surrounded by pine trees. I don't know
yeah.
why. But the spot we were at, there were a lot of these like tall, skinny pine trees. I felt like I was in the forest, even though there was a raging highway like 40 feet away, and it was nighttime, and we were listening to the song, and we were just really feeling it. Like, oh, this song is so great, it's so beautiful, I love that song. And we talked about the song, and then we walked home, and we got back
Stumbled
home,
home.
stumbled home. Yeah, I don't know how we found our way back home. Curran has a better sense of direction than me. He's probably the reason we got made it home. We got home, and we went into that backyard that Curran was just talking about when he shared his memory, that like backyard area. And back there was our landlord there, Charles. You'll hear more about him probably in some other episode, but he was notoriously cheap, as many landlords are or strive to be. And he would cut costs at any corner he
Oh
could.
yeah.
And one of those corners was the physical state of the table and accompanying chairs in our backyard, our communal backyard, which was very poor state. He cut that cost because those chairs and that table looked like they were older than the Listerski we were drinking, for sure. Older than whiskey, but just old and beat up and shitty and needed to be replaced. Every time you sat in the chair, you were worried it would fall apart. I was anyway. And the table was a piece of shit. It was ready to fall apart at any moment, but there was no way Charles was ever going to replace any of those items.
No.
So,
Yeah.
we we just like we made the best of it, and we were out there, and we were looking at the sky, probably smoking one of those cigarettes we rolled with the the wacky tobacco, not the wacky tobacco, but the actual tobacco. And we were probably having a smoke, staring up the sky, and then I got like an urge to destroy that table. Because it was a piece of shit to begin, and I was pumped up on adrenaline from just finding our way home through the urban thicket of obstacles between whatever random spot by the highway we were sitting at and our home, and pumped up by that John Denver song as a listening experience as well. And I started thinking about the song Smells Like Teen Spirit, and I took a running dive. I don't think Curran was expecting it.
No.
I took a running start, and I dove onto that table and shattered it into pieces. And as I leapt in the air in my joy and excitement of the moment, I think I yelled like, "A denial!" And I denialed the table.
Yeah.
And so from then on, Curran and I would just talk, would always reference the time I denialed that table and broke it into 1,000 pieces, and wasn't thinking about consequences at all or caring, and didn't care for many days to come. But then when we eventually moved out of that place, that broken table was on Charles's long, stupid list of things we had to pay him back for from our security deposits. And that's that piece of shit table that was worth less than $0. I mean, you would need to pay someone to take it from you. And he charged us like $700 for that thing.
Yeah, I know. It was ridiculous. Yeah, I was like, man, Charles, do you think we were born yesterday? Where are you getting these prices?
We were so mad.
I'm pretty sure he just picked that up from the junkyard. I'm pretty sure he does a junkyard run every now and then. And just
I think he picked it up from the Listersky corporate headquarters.
This is Listersky's private desk.
He had one dream. 2 dreams.
Yeah, a couple of dreams.
One was the table. Yeah. The other was his shitty whiskey.
Yeah. I remember once because I don't know how it came to be, but Charles had appointed me like his what you call like landlord tenant. You know, he'd always be like, you need to make sure this doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. And I'm like, Charles, there's like 3 other people staying in this house. Why are you telling me? Like, tell everybody, right? But because I was in his conference once, he took me to his house where he stayed, which was pretty much right under where we stayed because he was living in the same house. And his house looked like a Salvation Army store because there was just like furniture and like used stuff everywhere. And I was like, wow, Charles, what is all this stuff? And he was like bragging to me about how he would just, if he sees something that's good, he would pick it up and bring it home. Because, I think maybe Matt wasn't the only person who had denial the table in his house. So he was prepared for those things.
There was a tradition of denialing
yeah.
objects Charles brought home at that place.
Yeah, so he knew if things would break, he would replace them with junk, and then he would charge the person who broke it $700 for it to replace.
Dear God, my God! I mean, let me tell you, there is a dishonest breed, and they are landlords and property managers and realtors. And Curran and I,
realtors, yeah.
Oh
we
my
God, talk about
Curran and I, yeah, we got stories. We got some realtor stories.
Yeah.
And
give you a quick trailer about it. We almost were convinced to live in one of the most dangerous places in Boston because this guy, maybe because Matt and I are always walking around chuckling and having fun, people think we're stupid. They think like, oh, these guys, they're a couple of chuckleheads. They're not going to pay attention. So
insulting.
Yeah,
It is
he
insulting.
yeah he was like trying to sell us on this one area, and I was like, man, I've seen The Departed, and that place that you just showed us looks straight out of the fucking Departed. I do not want to live. But
Yeah, that
we'll
looks
talk
like
about it. We'll talk about it. There's
yeah,
he needs more time than we have today dedicated to him because
that's very true. And his name was,
yeah.
did you already say his name was
I haven't
Raul?
said his name. I haven't said
Raul.
his name. Yes.
It was either Raul or Raul. I think Raul? Raul?
Raul. That's how he
Raul.
said it. That's how he said
Yeah,
it.
Raul. He was a white guy, but his name was Raul.
Yeah.
But he was American, white American dude.
He was.
Yeah,
He was.
bald, mostly bald. Just just looked. You know what? In my memory, he looks like Paul Giamatti.
I can see that.
That's what I remember of Raul. He was
I can
super
absolutely
animated.
see that.
But yeah, there's some. Oh my god, that's a
But way more animated than Paul Giamatti. Definitely way more animated.
if
And
that's possible. Yeah, no, he really was. I mean, he was more anime. I mean, but that's like fucking. That's like That's again. That's like saying that's Ted Bundy's better looking than John Wayne Gacy. No, I don't know. No, I don't know what it's like, but it's true. He was so animated. He was almost lifting. His feet were almost lifting off the ground with the amount of sheer energy emanating from his being at all times.
really,
So
yeah.
he was an animated
He was
motherfucker.
excited. He was excited to sell us on that place that probably nobody else wanted. He was
Yeah.
doing his best jig.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
he didn't
Looking in
count on us
height.
being Scorsese fans. He just didn't count on us.
Didn't think we'd seen the Departed.
The padded.
The Departed. But it's overrated movie in my opinion. But yeah,
Yeah.
he was like he think of it from his perspective how excited he must have been
Oh
when
my
he
God.
sees this couple of this couple of dopes who are obviously just these young like college guys in Boston, college
Yeah.
town, going to school, probably their,
Laughing, having fun.
their parents are probably helping them out. They're
Yeah.
not, they don't have any real problems in life yet. They don't care where they
Yeah.
live. They're not going to be persnickety about the properties he shows them. And he's like, oh yeah, this is a hot market. Hot, I tell you.
Yeah, and then there's this
Yeah.
one apartment that in his real estate office, it's like known that nobody ever rents it because it's just nobody wants to go near that area. It's just one of those really bad areas. And then, Raul's like, I have an idea. I'm
Yeah.
gonna sell these.
Yeah, these guys will never know.
They won't know.
They won't think about that.
They won't
They're
think
not going to
about it.
know that just
No.
because the address to the property is written on a dumpster instead of on a wall or a sign. They don't know that means
Yeah.
trouble. They
Just
don't
because the
know.
police tape is still up, it doesn't mean it's gonna be a bad sign.
Just
I can
because
sell that.
Just because you hear helicopters every 2 minutes, it doesn't mean there's trouble. Just because you see searchlights at night, just because there's a cop, old McGrady, who circles the property, like a hungry cat, that doesn't mean that it's a dangerous area. Yeah,
Yeah.
he thought he could just get
Put
us
one
right.
over on us.
We'd be in like he'd be in like Flynn, and we'd be yeah. Anyway, but that's a good that we'll see. We should kick it off with that story next time
Yeah,
and
definitely,
finish that
Raul.
story.
He's gonna start us off next time for sure.
Yeah, next time we can start off I just want to talk about some of those realtor experiences
Oh
that
my
we
God.
both had
Yeah.
together.
It,
My God.
It really
Think
shouldn't
about
have
it,
been that
dude.
hard to find an apartment in Boston. It really shouldn't have been that complicated. Now
Not
that I
just
think about
and
it,
not just Boston, LA too.
oh yeah, LA. Oh my God,
Dude, think
right.
about Kelvin. Dude,
Oof.
think about dude, dude, I'm telling you, it's a well of content, information,
Oh
a
my
well
God.
of material.
807, man.
Dude,
807.
yeah, but
That place.
think about Kelvin, and then think about the next place in LA we lived after the place downtown
Oh
with
my God.
Gene.
Right.
Scale of 1 to 10, how honest and transparent was Gene about the parking at that property before we moved in? And we specifically asked her. And by the way,
She.
when you're moving into an apartment in Koreatown, if you ask the person showing you the property the question, hey, how's the parking around here? How's the street parking? They will immediately know you're as green as can be.
Oh yeah.
Everybody in LA who's been in LA for more than a month has heard or knows firsthand that Koreatown is the hardest place to find street parking in the
We would
fucking
circle
city,
for
the whole
hours trying
city.
to find a spot. Yeah, and how
Oh,
transparent was Jean? Oh, she was a brick wall. She was like, she was like, she lied to our faces. She was like, oh, that's not hard at all. She didn't miss a beat.
she was
She didn't skip a.
about
She
as
didn't even stop to
transparent.
think.
She was about as transparent as a rubber boot.
Whacked us on that head with the rubber boot. With that.
Whacked our existence on the head with a lie. We
She
were we
made
were
sure.
she was like, oh yeah, no, that's you should. I mean, there's street parking everywhere. You'll be able to find. My
Yeah, oh,
God,
so easy. She made sure
what a lie!
that when we had parking, we never wanted to move the car. She made sure about that because it was just oh my, yeah,
Yeah, not
we gotta
only
tell
did
the
you,
good folks our
yeah, and
stories
when
so
you
they'd be warned.
even once you found a parking spot, there would be weird parking regulations about that spot. And like, don't park here before after 8,
Yes,
between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. or whatever. You would have to once,
when it's
yeah,
summer solstice, you cannot park on this side of the street
yeah. On
until
Tuesdays and Thursdays, cannot park between 8 and 8:30 a.m. Just
no.
ridiculous shit. And
If there's an eclipse going on,
yeah,
you gotta park on the other side of the street for street cleaning.
yeah. If the
'Cause-
captain's flag flies at half mast, you'll get a ticket, motherfucker. You'll be towed. But it was like when we when if Listerski's closed, you're gonna be towed. But it was like so not only would it take you 40 minutes to find a parking spot, and that's not even an exaggeration, to be honest with you.
no,
It would take like
40 minutes was a good day. It was a good day. You're
My
like, oh my
God,
god, I
just
found this park spot within an
endlessly
hour.
circling.
Come home and brag about it. You'd be like, this is a good day.
If I could go back in time and just pay the $100 a month for a parking
seriously.
spot like a smart
I know.
person would have, my God. When
Yeah.
you're young, you're so
That was the
fucking
right
dumb.
move to do.
Young people are so fucking dumb. It's like,
You have
dude, I paid so much more in towing and parking tickets than I would
yeah.
have if I paid $100 a month for a parking spot.
Seriously.
It might have been a little more than $100 a month, but even if it was $150 a month, it's like
Who cares?
in Koreatown, you pay that shit. You just
I
pay
would
it.
pay it.
Don't even think
Yeah,
twice.
if you are listening to this podcast thinking about renting in Koreatown and you have a car, don't think twice about
Don't think
buying
twice.
parking.
Yeah, I mean, don't
You
live in
will
Koreatown
be
first.
happy. Yes.
But if you do, if you fail at that first choice, proceed to step plan B.
Should circumstances arise that force you to live in Koreatown,
Yeah.
then
Circumstances like being completely new to LA and not having a proper guide and not knowing anything, which we
No.
pretty much fit that description pretty
No.
well at the time. Yeah, so you would even once you found a spot, you were probably getting towed by morning. So if you didn't move it by 8 a.m., whatever, and Curran and I would get up at the crack of dawn to go move my car just to avoid a ticket. It was nice of Curran to get up with me. I don't know why he did that.
Solidarity, I guess.
Thank you.
We would, some of the times we would
a good friend.
We couldn't find parking at night was because I would say, let's go out to Joshua Tree. And
I'm sure it was both of us, though, right? It would have probably
you were
been
on
both
board with it.
Oh, yeah.
I would come up with the idea, and you would
lead the charge, really.
Yeah. You would never say, to your credit, you would never say, I got work to do. You'd be like, hell yeah, let's go adventure. And
oh yeah, I
you
got
would
that.
Come home
Gotta have your priorities straight. Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you, I don't regret a single one of those excursions. And those excursions, by the way, were by far my favorite part of the shitholes we lived in. In LA when you were still living in LA and we were rooming together. The shitholes we lived in, which we can get into more in another episode, it was like my favorite parts were the day trips or excursions where we'd just blow blow everything off and go to Joshua Tree or go to the
Hell
Malibu, go to the beach, take a day trip. Those carried me. Those kind of I think carried me through that period. Like made it better, made it much better. Yeah,
yeah, those adventures, like, they stick with you. Like, you remember a lot
they
of
do.
stuff, but those adventures, they stick because,
They
like,
really do. You don't
yeah,
regret them. You never regret. You will
no,
never regret them. You will not. This is what I've learned. One thing I've learned in life thus far. You will not. You might think in the moment, I'm going to spend this money going on this vacation or this trip or going to whatever, wherever I'm going. This flight, oh, it's kind of pricey. This, and that. You will never look back. You will hem and haw about it in the moment, but in 10 years or 5 years or even 3, you will never look back and go, God, I should never have spent that $200 on that flight. You'll never say that. You will always just be so glad you went on the trip. I'm, not saying you got to become a nomad and just do nothing but travel for forever. I mean, unless
yeah.
that's your thing, but I'm just saying, yeah, you might think you have your priorities and that spending money in a certain way is bad. And yeah, you can spend money in stupid ways that I'm not condoning, but travel is not one of those. If you travel and you spend money on it, you're just never going to regret it. Unless, and even when the trip is truly horrible, which is rare, very rare, but I've had one or two of them in my life. But even if the trip you end up taking is horrible, the money, you don't think about the money going down the line. You don't look back and think about them because you know that at least you were trying to treat yourself and you were trying to do an adventure. You're trying to have an adventure. It doesn't feel shitty, the money you spent. You don't feel like it was at least I don't. At least I don't feel, I don't know, unless
I think a
yeah.
lot of people
Yeah.
agree with you on that. I
Yeah.
think anybody who's ever traveled would agree with you on that. Uh, I mean, it's why, like, no matter how shitty the world gets, people still want to travel. It's really, really kind of like liberating in so many ways. And when we traveled, we didn't go to like exotic places. We just went road tripped it to whatever was around us, and we found places that a lot of people don't really talk about because we were just like we look up the GPS, we look up a map, and be like, "What is this little beach over here? Let's go check it out." And we found amazing places, and then we took our friends there, and it was just such a fun time. It's a fun thing to do. Um, yeah, no
It
regrets at
was
all.
great. That it was fantastic. Curran, how many cities have you lived in your whole life?
How many cities have
Feel
I
free to
lived
take a breath. Feel free to take a moment.
in?
But I'm
Oof.
curious. I want to know how many cities you have lived in. And by live, I mean for more than, a weekend. I mean for more than a week or no, 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 no. More than a month, I guess. I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah.
More than a month.
How many
I have,
cities have you
man.
lived in?
Let me think. I haven't. Wow. I would have to count and get back to you about that.
Yeah.
Um, there's
Shit.
yeah,
Kind
but
of
that's
put
something I
kind
can
of putting
I
you on the
can
spot.
come up with. Yeah, I was going to say
It's like,
I
wow.
have to think about
Yikes.
that. There might be some
Whew.
silence while I think about my life. But
Like after you hear a Johnny Cash song,
yeah, pretty much.
it's like everybody shut up and leave me alone for a while. I've got some reflecting to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me think of it from. Okay, I've lived in Boston. I've lived in. I'm originally from a town called Owings Mills, which is by Baltimore, Maryland. So I'm gonna just label it Baltimore and or Owings Mills. That's one. Label that as one. Maryland, Baltimore. So Boston, Baltimore. Wait. Yeah. Boston, Baltimore, and L.A. Is that the only three? I mean, not only. Some people have only had one, but yeah, I think I've been in three. I think I've lived in three. Yeah, I think I've lived in three cities in my life.
Okay.
No, no, no. Sorry, I forgot my whole very, very young childhood. Okay, I fucking forgot the whole thing. Okay, I was born in New Orleans. Okay, so New Orleans for a couple years that I don't really remember. Uh, and then um then we went to California, and then we went to Virginia, and then no, in New Orleans, and then Virginia, California, and Maryland, something like that. But I'm not going to count California as multiple notches. I'm going to count it as just one. I'm not going to count multiple cities in California, because the other place I lived in California when I was just like 3 or 4 years old, with when my dad's a doctor, when his practice took us there, and we were there a few years. We lived in a place called Redlands, California, which is like a suburban place an hour outside LA. But I'm not gonna count that as multiple cities. I'm gonna just count California as one place I lived. And so I was born in New Orleans, so that's one. And I'm not gonna lie, I love saying that. I love, if you know me, you'll hear me tell people I was born in New Orleans now and then, because even though I have no real vivid actual memories of it, because I was so young, it makes, again, it's like being the best looking serial killer. You just get more credit than you deserve. Anyway, you're more colorful and interesting than you deserve to be considered. Anyway, so New Orleans, then California, again counting it as one, even though I moved there again later in adulthood. Then I think Reston, Virginia, or like some town in Virginia, so that's 3. Then Baltimore, Maryland, where I grew up until I went to college at 18. Went to college in Boston. That's 5, I think. I think I'm up to 5. I guess 5. I guess 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. 5 for me. I guess I've lived in 5 cities, but you can, I guess, think about that and get back to us, or not, whatever you want. But yeah, it's fun to think about that.
Yeah, it is. I've actually, by my hesitation, you might think, oh, he must have lived in a lot of cities. No, not really. It's just I gotta
That's what
think
I
about
thought.
it because, yeah.
I was like, my God, he's like James. This is an international man of mystery. He's lived in more cities than I even knew. Because I know you've lived in a lot of cities.
Yeah. Um, it's really not as much. I just have to give it an honest thought. Um, yeah, because my family did move around a little when I was younger, and then I obviously moved out west. When I say west, I mean west from India. Um, when I was in college, then I, you know, went lived on the east and west coast of the U.S. and then I moved to Canada, where I live right now. And so,
Nice.
yeah, there are a few cities, so we can definitely talk about that.
Yeah.
There's going to be plenty of opportunities.
I'm taking down a note for next episode.
Raul and
Raul, thank you. Raul the realtor. And then how many did you didn't say how many cities, right? How many
no.
cities is current? How many cities has Karan lived in total? Which he will dwell on in the meantime. He will reflect on this on his own time. Yeah, Raul the realtor, and then wait. Oh yeah, and we'll kick off the next episode with, I am gonna record that the theme song you heard a sample of in the beginning of this episode. That was just me playing it on my amp in the room. It wasn't mic'd up, anything special. I'll mic it up, put a mic in front of the amp, record it. I use the same mic actually a lot of times for that I do for this vocal, which is the SM7B. It's a really versatile mic. It's a great mic, and it's not that expensive. It's a few $100s, but for how consistently solid it is for many different like uses. People will record professional vocals with it. People will record guitars from out of amps with it. All kinds of podcasts. It's just a really workhorse, solid, awesome mic. We'll kick off the next episode with the theme song. I'll record it and we'll hear it and see how it feels when it
Nice.
leads the charge for the next episode. We're figuring this out, guys. You're along for the ride. We're figuring it out as we go, Solomon. Saul.
Solve. Nice.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
Well,
that's all I got. You got anything
yeah.
else?
No, we have a lot more to come.
You've got
And
some
yeah,
editing to
aren't
do.
you guys the privileged ones
God.
to be with us while we figure it all out?
Oh, I pity the. Well, no, I don't pity, but yeah. Well, fair the Godspeed to you, Karan,
Yes,
as you
and to you,
embark
sir.
on the editing of this long-winded spree, this polyphonic spree of words.
Oh yeah,
God
it's
be
gonna be
with you.
fun.
May the
Thank you.
Lord
Thank you.
keep the Lord in your belly.
I have a bottle of Old Crow whiskey to help me out. So.
Keep that Listersky by your side at close hand. All right.
All
We'll
right.
see you guys next time. Don't
See
drink
you
too
all
much
next time.
Listersky.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Be safe.